It was a Friday morning. The date was April 5th, 2024. Many people were starting their day. Suddenly the Earth decided to remind them of its power. At precisely 10:23 a.m., a tremor began. This was no ordinary rumble. It was an earthquake, a significant one for this part of the world. The United States Geological Survey, the official keepers of such earthly records, quickly measured its strength. The instruments registered a magnitude of 4.8. This may not sound colossal compared to quakes in California or Japan, but for the Northeast United States, it was a jolt, a serious wake-up call from the planet. The heart of this trembling was pinpointed near a place called White House Station. This quiet spot in New Jersey, usually untroubled by such geological drama, found itself at the epicenter. From this point, the seismic waves radiated outwards, like ripples in a vast, unseen pond. The ground beneath millions of feet began to shake. For many it was a completely new experience. Buildings swayed gently, then more noticeably. Windows rattled in their frames, a symphony of unexpected percussion. Coffee cups danced on desks. The familiar solidity of the ground beneath became, for a few unsettling moments, alarmingly fluid and uncertain. The reach of this unexpected terrestrial shudder was remarkably wide. Great cities felt its passage. New York City, a metropolis of towering steel and concrete, felt the tremor quite distinctly. Its inhabitants, usually accustomed to the rumble of subways, knew this was different. Further south, Philadelphia also reported the shaking. The waves continued their journey, making their presence known in Baltimore as well. This was not a localized event, it was a regional disturbance, felt by a vast population across several states. The earth had spoken and many had listened with a mixture of surprise and dawning apprehension. What made this event particularly noteworthy was its rarity. The Northeast is not typically earthquake country. Its geological story is ancient, its faults largely quiet, or so it was thought. An earthquake of this magnitude, a 4.8, had not been experienced in this densely populated corridor for over a century. It was a stark reminder that the Earth's crust is always in motion, always capable of surprises, even in places that have grown accustomed to geological peace. This tremor was a historical marker, a day when the ground beneath the bustling Northeast decided to make its presence known in a most unforgettable way. The immediate aftermath of the quake was a flurry of human reaction. Confusion was perhaps the first emotion for many. Was it a large truck passing? An explosion nearby? The mind struggled to categorize the unfamiliar sensation. Then, as news alerts began to flash on phones and computer screens, realization dawned. It was an earthquake. Some people rushed outdoors, unsure if buildings were safe. Others called loved ones, seeking reassurance or sharing their own startling experience. Social media platforms lit up with first-hand accounts, a digital chorus of surprise, questions, and a touch of fear. The collective pulse of the region quickened. Authorities from local municipalities to state governments were quick to respond. In New York, Governor Kathy Hochul addressed the public. She confirmed the event and stated that comprehensive assessments for any potential damage were immediately underway. The primary concern, she emphasized, was public safety and the integrity of infrastructure. New York City's mayor, Eric Adams, also stepped forward. He offered reassurances, explaining that emergency services were already active. Teams were being dispatched to evaluate buildings, bridges, and tunnels, the vital arteries of the city. The message was clear. The situation was being taken seriously. Initial reports, thankfully, did not indicate major incidents or widespread structural collapses. The New York City Fire Department acknowledged receiving numerous calls about shaking buildings. However, the immediate crisis seemed to be one of alarm rather than disaster. Yet, no one was complacent. The authorities understood that a full picture of the damage, especially subtle structural issues, would take time to emerge. Inspections needed to be thorough. The focus was on ensuring that everything from skyscrapers to residential homes remained secure, especially with the looming possibility of aftershocks adding further stress. Emergency services across the affected states shifted to a heightened state of alert. Fire departments, police forces, and medical response units prepared for potential calls. The unseen work of emergency planners and coordinators kicked into high gear. Contingency plans, often developed for other types of emergencies, were adapted for this unexpected seismic event. The quake served as an impromptu drill, testing the readiness of a region more accustomed to blizzards and hurricanes than to the trembling of the earth itself. The system was being tested, and the focus was on a swift, coordinated, and effective response to protect the public. could cause more significant concern and potential damage, adding a layer of continued vigilance for everyone. One crucial factor that influences how earthquakes are felt in the Northeast is the region's underlying geology. The bedrock in this part of the United States is different from that in more seismically active zones like California. It is older, harder, and more continuous. This type of bedrock can be very efficient at transmitting seismic waves over long distances. This means that even a moderate earthquake can be felt much further away from its epicenter than a similar-sized quake in an area with more fractured geology. The Earth itself can amplify the tremors. This geological characteristic contributes to a unique kind of seismic vulnerability. While major earthquakes are indeed rare in the Northeast, the potential for widespread impact from a moderate event is higher. The energy from the quake doesn't dissipate as quickly. Furthermore, some areas within the region, including parts of New York City like Long Island and Staten Island, are built upon softer sediments. These weaker geological foundations can further amplify the shaking, making buildings in these specific locales more susceptible to movement and potential damage during an earthquake. The very ground beneath can betray. In response to the April 5th event, the New York City Office of Emergency Management, NYC-OEM, issued clear advisories to the public. Residents were initially advised to stay indoors and away from windows if they felt shaking. They were also urged to report any injuries or structural damage they observed to the relevant authorities. The emphasis was on safety and information sharing. These advisories highlighted practical steps individuals could take to protect themselves during and after such an unexpected event, fostering a sense of proactive caution rather than panic. Ultimately, this rare earthquake served as a powerful and timely reminder. It underscored the critical importance of earthquake preparedness, even in regions historically considered to have low seismic risk. Complacency can be a dangerous thing when it comes to natural forces. The event prompted discussions about building codes, emergency response protocols, and public education. Authorities stressed the need for individuals and families to have emergency kits, to know safe spots within their homes, and to stay informed through official channels. The Earth had given a lesson, and the wise would heed its teachings.